Well, what better place to start today than the BBC? And we'd like to say a big thank you to the person who sent this through to us. They said, did you know that a gentleman called Tony Rook had won a court case against the BBC for their misreporting over 9/11 and the key issue of the collapse of World Trade Center Building 7? Now, we have only just come across this morning, but we think it's so important that we'd like to ask viewers and listeners to do research themselves. But it appears this gentleman has successfully won a court case against paying his licence because the BBC misreported the collapse of World Trade Center 7. If we just remind ourselves of this, the key thing was that we had BBC World here pushing out a report live on what was happening at the World Trade Center site. And this lady was saying the building had collapsed, where, surprise, surprise, it was still standing in the background. This leads Mr. Rook to believe that the BBC had prior knowledge of a terrorist act and were reporting with the intent to deceive the public. And it appears that his views on the BBC have been upheld in the court. Now, I think many people will be interested in this, so we're being a little bit cautious because we've only been able to pick up on it very quickly this morning, but we believe the court case is real. This presumably leaves the floodgates open for anybody who objects to paying their BBC licence, which is certainly a lot of people these days, and of course exposes the BBC once again as being a lying propaganda machine rather than the upstanding media organisation which it likes to portray. Just to show you the sheer hypocrisy of the BBC, we managed to catch this little clip off BBC Home, and of course anything to do with the collapse of buildings is conspiracy. Here are the conspiracy files. And they even choose to put a photograph of Building 7 collapsing in the background.
I wonder if they got anything about the tower structures that needed really to burn, which architects and engineers have proven would have needed to burn for days upon days before those towers could have come down. And the work of Judy Wood and Richard Gage of architecture engineers.
Well, we'll wait and see about that. Of course, the key issue is the collapse of a steel-structured building in a fire. I think David Scott, as an engineer, might have a couple of comments on that. We'll see. But there we are. Can we trust the BBC? Absolutely not. And of course, what they're putting out is very, very dangerous propaganda, because as a result of the World Trade Center incidents, we've had draconian laws coming in America and Britain attempting to close down public freedoms. And of course, we've had the finger pointed at overseas terrorists and overseas nationalities and overseas religious groups as being the people responsible for this. BBC has done no proper investigative journalism to bring out the truth of the World Trade Center attacks. Bearing
in mind that's what Tony Blair was drumming the bangs of war for, and the murder of all those innocent Iraqis back in 2003 under the guise of 9/11 and weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
And of course we've got David "Our King" Cameron, Prime Minister of Britain, who's banging the same drums, isn't he? With getting people back in.